Hello and shalom, everybody. It's our Monday study time. Let us invite Father in. Abba Yehovah, I come before you, giving you praise and thanks today, asking for you, Father, to come and lead us through your word. So this way we can gain much more understanding of your truths for how we are supposed to be living. I ask, Abba, that you give me your strength. I know that I am not feeling 100% today. My energy is at a low, but still, Father, I want to come before you. This way, I do not drop the ball in doing what is hoped that I come to do, knowing, Father, that the enemy doesn't rest, and therefore, we too need to stay on top of things. It can get tiresome at times. But when we get started and when we get going on knowing your word and reading, somehow, some way, your energy just takes over, Father. So I ask for your strength. I thank you, Father. In Yeshua's name, I pray, amen. So let's get started. Yes, I am not doing 100% today. Um, I'm exhausted. I had a quite a long weekend. But for ladies, we get that time of the month, and so that's kind of playing a part. But I'm also tired just from the weekend. I was on the go, and I already kind of know that when I have one day that I'm so super energetic, I kind of feel like I'm gonna end up burning out the next day. I'll be burnt out by the next day. And like I said, with the one thing that arrived, it's not working for me. But I want to get going so I don't drop the ball, especially because um, I'm looking at the chapter that we're reaching already. And just to share a little bit before we get going, because I like to just let you all know who I am, be a little bit more open, so this way you guys kind of know who the reader is, who I am in the faith before you. And so we're going on chapter 32 today, but I'm also keeping a mental note of when I first started a while back, when I took to social media. I had never had a social media account whatsoever. I never was into it. Um, one, I don't know if I really even known about it really. Um, and then when I got with my my husband, and I started knowing that there are things that you can get into to talk to more people. I asked him if he ever had them, and he did, but I just never thought to go out and just socially engage. Um, I'm not a big I can be a social butterfly. You get me going, and I can, but it does take me a while to warm up to people. So I don't think it was really in me to really want to go out and um, just make random friends. I didn't really know how much to do that. I mean, even in school, it was kind of hard to start the new year in school, even though you have your peers that you see every year. Still try to warm back up into them because I was never one to be in the popular clan where I kept in contact with most of the majority of them. I had friends, don't get me wrong, I did, and I did keep in contact with them during the summer, some of them. But then, there's that period where I just wouldn't, I was just more to myself, more or less. It's not until school came in that I would start back up with my friends. But anyways, in trying to say all that, I finally did come to social media after trying, hoping to find more believers that were seeing what Father was already opening our eyes to. Because coming from, the denominations that we had come from, you know, Catholicism into the Apostolic, and now we started seeing, what our eyes hadn't been seeing because it wasn't being taught. And now I was like, I wonder if there's many more of us out there. And then when we had went on travels to go meet a teacher of ours that had opened up our site a lot. He helped us to grow. And we went over there. They're the ones that asked us if we had social media. And then I thought, wow, I am way, and these are older believers. They're older than me a little, and they're asking if I had a social media. So they're already up to date with the modern. The way I look at it is like the modern thing, and here I was still like, not that it was super modern, but they had something that I hadn't. And so when I finally did, I said, I need to. I've been encouraged by the brethren that we are supposed to try to take Messiah's word. We can't hold it to ourselves. We have to start opening up people's eyes, because not everybody's teaching the way, what we were blind to, the same. And so I said, yeah, I need to put myself out there. I need to answer Messiah's calling and, start reading. And so I did. I had started reading. I was recording myself just like you're seeing me now. But when I would start, you know, when I would teach, I didn't feel as confident. And then when I would go into the the live services that, I was attending, some of my brothers that would teach the word on Shabbat, and they would bring more of the Hebrew understanding to the words we were reading and the Greek. And I thought, man, I'm doing a disservice to Father, because I haven't been using the tools. Not that I didn't know of them, but I hadn't been using the tools. And I still kind of am not, if you can tell, as you can tell, I'm still kind of just reading it to y'all. But I feel more confident when I come, having been hearing my teachers. I kind of know where these are and what it kind of well, not kind of, what it does mean. Or I can point you now into the right direction as to, okay, I don't know what this is. There could be something here. I could take it at face value by the English, but maybe there might be something in addition to fully knowing the understanding of it. So it's helped me now to feel a little bit more at ease, just because I I kind of had Paul in mind whenever Paul, New Testament Paul, not just some random man named Paul, just to keep who I'm talking about. Um, when I got to see when he finally came to the light himself, when he finally got, shown, and he counted everything that he ever learned, before as dung. This is a very intelligent man. He had a lot of, you know, he was raised in Judaism and he had lots of knowledge. You can just see it the way you can read his writings. He's a very knowledgeable person, I could tell. And so he knows from what he was seeing now, and he can count that dung. And but it took him, he took the time to finally give himself to Messiah and relearn everything that, wasn't shown to him the right way. So it took him 3 years to sit with Messiah. That's what you can go and check for yourself, to re relearn what was not right. And so I kind of did the same thing. I got to Genesis chapter 33. Chapter 33 is the last one that I had put out on Facebook, that I had read, because I went back within time, and I thought when I was going to start this, I was like, I wonder what chapter I had stopped at, so this way, if I can get over that one, over that hump, and get to chapter 34, then I know I'm gonna stay devoted to this. I'm gonna, it's my motivation to get to that chapter and then over it. So by 34, I'm looking to celebrate, like, I finally got here. And so, yeah, that's why I wanted to just share that with you, because, you know, it it does. I don't know. It's having to just get on the go, and you don't want to stop. And that's why I know that if I end up having these moments of, a tiresome day, or I can look for the excuse, and now granted, yes, I have come before, and I let you guys know, like, yeah, I wasn't able to do it that Monday due to like an event, but now I try my best, and I know I have canceled before when my time has come, and but I could end up getting so comfortable to where I'm like, uh, I don't want to go back to where I once was, like, I you know I'm still not ready. I can pick out many random excuses and not keep going, and then get so comfortable at with the excuse from not, going on. And so that's why I'm here. I'm here, even though I'm tired. I want to show Father, like, I need to. I know I need to. I know he depends on all of us to get, you know, his chosen ones that he's pulled out, and we hear him, and he wants us to keep serving him even if we're exhausted. So I hope that this also motivates many of you that maybe you haven't picked up in the word for a while, because maybe there was that one time that, you're tired, but then that tired turned into numerous of days of being tired, and now you're just gotten so comfortable, whatever it could be. If Father is, giving you a new day to to embrace life, then get back to it. So, yeah, I just thought to share all that. And so, um yeah, I did. It took, oh, and that's what I was gonna say. And it did take Paul 3 years to relearn his stuff. And when I went back to check how long um, it's been for me and what chapter I had stopped at, it actually took me, I would have to say, close to 3 years. If I'm not mistaken, maybe two and a half. But yeah, it took me quite some time to get back into this, and so now I just want to, bear with me. I am tired. But I hope I'm not going to sound it as we keep on going. I get so excited when I get started, and things, Father just starts like showing me or making me think of things, that it just expands, you know, the understanding. It enhances it for me. Things that I hadn't caught before, or things that I hadn't thought to question, then they come in, when I get started. So let's get started now that we prayed up at the 1 hour mark. Okay, 1 hour. Okay, so let us recap. Okay, so I usually try to recap 2 chapters and then go on, just because It's just the recaption from the chapter as well, or what we recall from the chapter beforehand. And so we did get to see what ended up coming about um, to Jacob when he, you know, got married. He got to see a different side of traditions, that he wasn't accustomed to. Um, you know, in what ends up opening my eyes to that is that I don't know if his mom ever told him that, hey, you know, your family members share with you customs, or you get raised in customs that your parents both have. Now, if your parents both share this one and the same custom, then um, chances are you're going to have always the same understanding of what you know. But remember, Abraham got called out, and now Father's trying to show him how to be, with making him his God. But he has his own set of rules and traditions that he's going to have Abraham do, and then to teach the rest of his descendants. And so therefore, the same thing with Jacob's mom coming into the faith, having to learn these things too. When you get so used to, when you start gaining the understanding of what it is that you finally come to know what Father has expected or wants to be worshipped like, you end up forgetting certain things that you once um, were raised in. It's amazing. I would even have to say, even for myself, that now that we've been doing, Father's commands, his Torah, his ways, um, I, me and my husband, we don't stay on point with when the traditions that what we once knew, we don't even know when they're here. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Do we know certain ones land in Thanksgiving? I mean, in November by Thanksgiving. The ones that come in by December, we kind of know when they do come, of course, because you can't hide what you're gonna see at the store. The 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 decorations are there. But as far as like when we have went traveling out before, because we're like, let's get away, we're not we don't want to get bombarded by so many of everybody's glee and all this, because they still don't know. But we wanted to get away from all of it, and then but not registering when it is here. um, we forget that many places now, wherever you travel, they still uphold to it. So certain things were still closed. And we were traveling one time, and I told my husband, pull to a gas station, if I'm trying to recall it, and because I needed the restroom, and it was closed. And I was like, how can this be? I was like, it's the middle of the week. Well, it didn't dawn on us, later on, uh, when we started to think on it. I was like, how can it be closed? Sure enough, it was one of the days of the feast that, or the custom of the world, the traditions that we once had. It was their time, and that's why it was closed. So you tend to forget. Well, anyways, back to Jacob. Here I'm thinking, maybe, Abraham and Sarah, and then Isaac, and um, you know Rebecca. Well, Rebecca, okay, this, maybe she has already forgotten, what it was like when she came out from uh, being, having traveled to be Isaac's wife. Possibly didn't tell him, like, it's a custom from over there that you have to marry the first wife. Who knows? And so now he's seeing his uncle Laban, and he you know beguiles him, he tricks him into marrying the first one, and he was ready to just get his the one that he wanted. And so and depending on what story he heard about his dad and getting his mother, you know was she a first, was she the only, who knows, but here we see her brother still has this tradition, this custom from where she came from. And now Jacob has two wives. And then, okay, by chapter 30, we did get to see where he got additional wives due to what traditions that area, Rachel and Leah come from. And I guess it's just, if it's all about like baby making in a sense that can help, as for prosperity, to help and stuff. I don't know. And these are just, I don't know, customs, too many customs out there, but they didn't have a problem giving them um, their maids. Okay, so here that's what we did read in chapter 30. And then we got to see where Jacob was wanting to leave. He did announce it to his father-in-law, but his father-in-law, I take it as, it looks like he knew who he had. There was something about Jacob. He had something valuable, and depending on how he believed in God or gods, because he does have this idol that he mentions later on that we got to read, that was stolen by his daughter, not knowingly. But I guess from him having this divine, I would have divined it like he he could tell that Jacob was something good, of good value, something like a good luck charm, and he didn't want to let him go. And he was just like, look, name your wages. I'll give you what you want just to stay and keep working for me. That kind of a, that's how I take it. And we saw that he was making it very problematic for him to just leave. He wanted to go and make his own life, get back home and take his wives. He'd done his time of what he wanted to do, but his uncle knew who he had, you know. And so then we saw where Jacob was told by father what he needed to do. He's like, he's not gonna let you go. He's not gonna let you go, but here, you do what I tell you, and it's gonna be all right. He's, I'm gonna be with you. But we see where father always mentions that, I'm gonna be with you, no matter what. I'm not gonna leave you. And so, yeah, he did what was told to him. Father told him to go ahead and take off, and he did. And Laban got wind of it, and he was not a happy camper. Sorry, my heater kicked in, so I hope you can hear me. Um, and so he takes off. He takes off to question Jacob why he did what he did. And then we kind of see the same story as what I mentioned last time, from like Abraham and then from Isaac. They, kind of like the excuse that they gave to the Pharaoh and the king, as to like why they didn't say the full on truth, um, just because they were wanting to protect themselves. And not that Jacob didn't tell him the truth since the start of it. We got to see that in chapter 30. He did tell him, like, look, I want to take off now. And please, just help me gain some herds for myself. That's all I'm asking. But because of Laban's anger, he can't recall this, I guess. Time probably has, moved forward. And now he thinks that he's just doing it out of like some type of like messed up escape without letting him say goodbye to his daughters and grandchildren. Um, but he just let him know. He did let him know why he didn't go and just let him know, or just tell him once again. We got to see that by him. And then oh well, he did tell him that he didn't tell him because he didn't want his father-in-law, to take away his wives and his own children from him. So it's kind of like the same story in a sense. Um, and then they ended with mutual, you know, covenant, in respects to one another. We got to see that. And I didn't go and read up on that. I was gonna go and read up more, but I didn't. But I hope you all did. Um, I'm just trying to think of anything else. I know that when I got done reading, more things came to my mind. I was like, hey, I wonder if that could be a way of thinking towards something. But now I'm forgetting it. Just looking over what we read before I go on. Okay, that's what came to my mind when I had gotten done reading it. And it's in chapter 31, the last one we just read, in verses, let's see here. I'll go from 44. Now then, come, let us establish a covenant, I and you, and it will be for a testimony between me and you. He said to him, look, Jacob, no one is with us. See, God is witness between me and you. Taking a stone, Jacob set it up as a pillar. And Jacob said to his brothers, gather stones, gather stones. And so that for a moment was making me think of all the times when, we know who our cornerstone is. Instead of Yeshua. Even there's other places where even Father is called our rock. And then I was thinking on when what's his name? Yeshua's cousin, the Baptist, John the Baptist, and he was telling the those that thought they were by um, entitlement, like, well, we're from Abraham, kind of this like recognition of themselves. And he's like, that doesn't matter in the eyes of the Father. He's not a God of partiality. Really. And if you really think about that, if he wasn't really willing to even um, how do you how does it say it, spare his own son, you know in the fact of what he was wanting to accomplish something. It doesn't matter who he puts. We all have to obey, just even by that. But going back to John the Baptist, because comment, he did let them know it doesn't matter who you come from. Even the stones, even the rocks, will can honor God and call out to Him. He can use whoever. So when I was reading that part, or when I was thinking on that part, and it says like taking a stone, um, and he set it up as a pillar. I made me think of like, okay, Father, in a sense. And then look, this heap, no, and then where it talks about oh, gather stones. And then he told his brother to gather stones. It makes me think of witnesses, you know, the pillar being like the main stone, and then gather stones like witnesses. So, yeah, I don't know. That was going through my mind. And so, yeah, that's all I have to say from any of what we had read. Let's go on now. Chapter 32. We're going to read Jacob fears meeting Esau. Okay, remember we already read where that bond is now broken, got broken. And then within the same chapter, another title is said that we are going to read Jacob wrestles with God. Okay, so let us hope that we get through the whole chapter here. Okay. And Jacob departed on his own journey, and looking up with his eyes, he saw the army of God encamped. And the angels of God met him. Just imagine, he's meeting him. I don't know. Could this be like a dream? Like, see, when we first saw his meeting with Father, it looked like a dream, and it said vision. So maybe it's another one. So we go back, like I said, always recap. It helps you know where you read it once. So in chapter 28, it's his Jacob's dream, his vision. And here, I don't know if maybe it's one and the same, because now he's journeying back. Okay, and Jacob departed, on his own journey, and looking up with his eyes, he saw the army of God encamped, and the angels of God met him. When he saw them, Jacob said, "This is a camp of God." And he called the name of that place camps. Okay, and this is the Septuagint version, so um, I don't know what the Hebrew would be for it, but you could always go and read another version to see what it also states it in a different writing of it. Okay, so he names that place camps. Verse 3, Jacob sent messengers to Esau, his brother, um, into the land of Seir, into the territory of Edom. And he commanded them, saying, "Thus you will say to my lord Esau, Thus says your servant Jacob, with Laban I dwelled and lingered until the present. And there came to me cattle and donkeys, and sheep and servants and maids. And I sent to report to my lord Esau, in order that your servant might find favor before you." And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, "We came to your brother Esau, and he is coming to meet you, and 400 men are with him." And Jacob was very afraid and at a loss. Can you just imagine, there's no words mentioned except that he's coming to see you, and now you're hearing of an army. You're thinking of much time has passed. What's going to take place? Is he still angry with me? So yeah, I can see where this fear was coming upon Jacob. So he divided the people who were with him and the cattle and the sheep into two camps. And Jacob said, if Esau comes to one camp and destroys it, the second camp will exist to be saved. Okay, so he's already making, you know, plans, arrangements, just in case those things go sour, go bad. Uh, Verse 9, Jacob said, God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, O Jehovah, the one who said to me, run away to the land of your family, and I will do good to you. Be satisfied with me because of all the righteousness and all the truth that you did for your servant. For I crossed over this Jordan with only my staff, but now I have turned into two camps. Deliver me from the hand of my brother Esau, because I fear him, lest, when he comes, he strike me, and the mother in addition to children. You said, I will treat you very well, and I will make your offspring like the sand of the sea, which will not be counted because of its multitude. And he slept there that night, and he took gifts from what he had brought and sent them to Esau his brother. 200 she goats, 20 he goats, 200 sheep, 20 rams, 30 milking cam 30 milking camels and their young, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 donkeys, 10 fowls. So now I'm just thinking, now you want to send them the best of the best. But before we carry on, what I'm seeing here and what's coming to me is that here we're seeing this prayer that Jacob's making to Father, and repeating his own words to him, letting Father know of his promises, showing Father you've held dear to what he's expected of you, as well as holding dear to his words. You really want him to keep his promises. So he's letting him know, like, look, I have followed you, and now I need you, and this is what you told me if I did, you would be with me and take care of me. And now he's needing him. So, and if you can recall, um, the servant that Abraham had sent to go and, get a wife for his son Isaac, remember that the servant, Abraham even let him know the angel's going to go before you, reassuring the success for his servant, because his servant was nervous, like, what's going to happen to me if this doesn't work out for you? I'm the one that's going to get in trouble by you. Letting his own master know, letting Abraham know, like, what's going to happen if this doesn't work well. But he's like, don't worry, the angel's going to go before you. But even still, he still wanted to, call upon the God of his master Abraham. And he still told Father, show me this through the sign. And before he even was done, Father was already doing it. So you can ask Father to go ahead of you, this situation that you cannot see. You don't know what's going to happen. You have a little information, but you don't know where it's going to land, because is this person still mad with you? You can think of all the worst case scenarios, and I'm one of those. If you ask my husband, he'll always tell you, I hear something, and right away I jump to many conclusions. This could happen, this could happen, this could happen. But with me being one of those, I'm always saying, okay, Father, but I know you can go ahead of me. You can work this for my good. And, recalling how much his word is true, and please stay with me. I've been good. I've been trying to be faithful, and I'm working this with you. And then what's been beautiful and seeing what I know now, he is there. He is there. So I see it now. He's always been there, and you can see what that person is feeling now that you can relate. So I see what Jacob is is all about. And so now you want to just keep doing your best to represent Father, what you would think that he would want you to do to help the situation. And so now he's sending him the best of the best, giving him much gifts to like come in peace. Let me bless you, brother, before we meet up. Okay, so he's having this sent out to his brother. Okay. Um, let's go back a little. Okay, so we'll go back to 14. 200 she goats, 20 he goats, 200 sheep, 20 rams, 30 milking camels and their young, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 donkeys, 10 fowls. And he gave into the hand of his servants a separate flock. He said to his servants, go before me and make a space between the flocks. Okay, and so now that we're on this page, page 38, I found where the little letter A is. I might as well just talk on that real quick. And it's near the word flocks. I don't know if it's just that one single word or if it's for the sentence. But down there, it means literally flock and flock. Okay, so instead of it just being plurally said with the S, plural, uh, with an S, it could be said flock and flock. Okay, so go before me and make a space between the flocks, or go before me and make a space between flock and flock. Okay. Verse 17. And he commanded the first, saying, if Esau my brother meets you and asks you, saying, whose are you, and where are you going, and whose are these that are going ahead of you? And you will say, your servant Jacob's. He has sent gifts to my lord Esau. And look, he is behind us. And he commanded the first, and the second, and the third, and all the ones who were going ahead behind these flocks, saying, according to this word, speak to Esau when you find him, and you will say, look, your servant Jacob is drawing near behind us. Okay, so he was already prepping them, kind of like what you kind of do before you go and talk with someone. You kind of prep how the conversation could take place. So now Jacob's just preparing the servants, like, if my brother happens to say this, because you do, you kind of know, we hang with each other so long, eventually we can start finishing each other's sentences, or you grew up with certain people to where you kind of know more or less how they will react or respond in certain ways. So he's like, this is my brother here. But if he ends up saying this, tell him this. Okay, so he was already prepared in what to say. Okay, I'll go back to verse 20. And you will say, look, your servant Jacob is drawing near behind us. For he said, I will appease his face with the gifts that are going before him. And after this, I will see his face. for perhaps he will welcome my face. So the gifts went on before his face. But he slept that night in the camp. Okay, so I think it was, I'd have to go back here, but I think he said what? Go a little journey out, right? To like make there like a separation of time, possibly. Because now he's going to fall asleep. But they already went ahead of him. But what I could say at this point, this lets me see like you can't this goes to show how much a genuine, true, loving an apology comes by. You know, one that you feel so remorseful, something that maybe he thinks, maybe he thought over time it could have been done so much different. Maybe my mom did hear it, but it could have came about in a different way. Or like you just feel bad that the way that it happened, but now you want to have peace with this person again. You want to be back in each other's lives, and now you're going to go the distance to try to make this unity happen, and you're just hoping that the response is going to be mutual. So it lets me know that, see, men, you can be thoughtful if you really wanted to make something work out. Because there's many stories I've heard, and trust me, I've gone through certain little heartaches waiting for my husband to really. It's more simpler than that, or you could be a little bit more thoughtful. We've had to grow. My husband, he he was an only child, and I'm not trying to make any like excuses, but sometimes you tend to wonder like why sometimes saying hard is so wrong, or why we can't think even extreme. Trust me, it just as much as it's been something for him to learn how to say he's sorry, in a kinder, in more thoughtfulness. It's also been something, and I guess all girls can relate to. It's been something of a learning experience for when we know we're wrong to fess up we're wrong. 'Cause sometimes we want to be like right even when we're wrong. So it's been a growing thing. But see, this just lets me see these things, that we can put every effort to making something, um, you know, work. We want something to go well. And that's what Father wants, for us to work hard at making relationships count, and that's why we need to try even hard with Him. He deserves so much for what He's given to us. I mean, even by His Son. Anyways, so verse 22. Um, okay, so uh, we did see that he has fallen asleep. This is where we get to that new title, Jacob wrestles with God. After rising up that night, um, he took his 2 wives and 2 maids and his 11 children, and he crossed over the ford of Jabbok. And he took them and crossed over the brook, and carried all his things across. Jacob remained alone, and a person wrestled with him until the morning. Okay, so now we see that he's finally crossed everything over. and I guess sent them ahead of him because now remained. He's remained alone. He's stayed by himself. And this mysterious person is wrestling with him until the morning. Verse 25, and he, he saw that he could not prevail against him, and he touched the broad part of his thigh, and the broad part of Jacob's thigh became numb when he wrestled with him. And he said to him, send me away, for the dawn has come. He said, I will not send you away if you do not bless me. He said to him, what is your name? He said, Jacob. And he said to him, no longer will your name be called Jacob, but your name will be Israel, because you prevailed with God, and you are mighty with humans. Jacob asked and said, reveal your name to me. And he said, why do you ask my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of that place Form of God. For I saw God face to face, and my life was spared. So see, this lets me know that you can see Father. It doesn't have to just be by vision, like we did see Esau. It was mentioned that he had a dream. And of course, then earlier I did question because he did see the army of Father. Of course, at the start of the chapter 32, his army encamped around him. But of course, yes, it, like I said, I think maybe two chapters ago, where I think Father just, he lets himself be seen in the way he knows that you can handle it with him. That's how I kind of look at it. I know I'm still nervous to have such an encounter with him because I don't know how I'm going to be. And we will get to certain places where they are told, do not fear, because it's like, why would they fear? But maybe there is something amazement to hope that you don't, I don't know, have a heart attack. I don't know. But here again, you see, we can see him face to face if he allows it. Some can hear him audibly if he allows it. You know, I could go back over, like I have done before, to show each person's encounter that we got to see. It all depends on when he feels like you are ready, you know, or if he wants to bless you in that way. That's how it looks to me, anyways. So, yeah, Jacob called that place Form of God. For I saw God face to face, and my life was spared. Verse 31, the sun rose up on him when he passed by. Form of God. Okay, so now it just mentions the name of that place. Okay. The sun rose up on him when he passed by. Form of God. He was limping on his thigh, for because of this, the sons of Israel may never eat the sinew that became numb, which is on the broad part of the thigh of Jacob, until this day, because he touched the broad part of the thigh of Jacob, the sinew, and it became numb. Hmm. I hope this doesn't make it seem like, I don't know how someone could think to go there, but you just never know where people's mindsets are. But I'm thinking this part, of course, is by thought of an animal, one that you can eat. So I guess you can't eat this one part because of the fact of um, with Jacob, what has become the understanding of what happened to Jacob. Because if anybody has wacky thoughts of like, oh, okay, because it was on Jacob, you can't eat that part on a human. No, let's bring it back to the right thought. So here we do see where this one piece is because of that, that cannot be eaten on an animal. I have to look up that word. Hmm. Okay, we have only 18 minutes left. Let's see here. Um, so Jacob's name got changed now, to be blessed by Father. And we could see how strong Jacob was for it to even mention that this person, this angel, um, couldn't be, you know, couldn't get out of his grips. So when you really want something so bad with Father, I guess that's another way of looking at it. I know that there's another, what, an analogy or another parable, I think said by Yeshua, about like this widow and an issue with, or taking her issue before the judge, and her persistence. Um, it finally got the judge just to move on it. And I guess in this situation, when you really want something that bad, you'll do you'll hold on extremely tight to Father until you're like, please bless me. Yeah, it, it's something interesting to really think on. Just wrestling with an angel, or here it says wrestling with God, but it's like, how bad do you want it? It's kind of one of those, like, how bad do you want it? Don't let him go. And he would not give him his name. I don't know why. His This angel or father was like, it's on a need to know basis. Like, and just know that I'm following you. I'm watching out for you. I'm watching over you. Your life is the one that matters. I don't know. Anyways, that was an interesting reading. 14 minutes more, and chapter 33 seems to be a short one. So let's see how far we can get into it or get through it. Okay, and in this chapter, the titles are, or just one, Jacob meets Esau. Okay, so we finally get to see where the brothers finally come to meeting. Uh, verse 1. Looking up, Jacob saw, and look, Esau his brother was coming, he and 400 men with him. So Jacob separated the children to Leah and to Rachel, and the two maids. And he put the two maids and their sons in the front, and Leah and her children behind them, and Rachel and Joseph last. He, so I don't know what was going through his mind by putting them in that type of order. Anyways, let's move on. I could get lost in the thought right there. Verse 3, he passed by before them and bowed to the earth 7 times until he approached his brother. Okay, so he was going ahead of them. That's how I'm looking at it. He's going ahead of them, as any other, a husband would try to protect his wives, well, his wife, but I'm talking plural here because of his wives. Sorry, my mind is still on thoughts. He passed by before them and bowed. So he passed by his wives and children and bowed to the earth 7 times until he approached his brother. And Esau ran forward to meet him, and embracing him, he kissed him and fell upon his neck. And they both wept. What a reunion. That's exciting. And I'm trying not to get emotional. Just makes me wonder, all those years not seeing each other. Of course, for some time, just thinking of the hatred, thinking on Esau's mind for those times. I'm pretty sure for some time he held that anger, but now him embracing him is like he probably got finally to that place of having let it go, to where he was probably missing him, probably reflecting on the good times that they had shared before it got chaotic, before life happened, before adulting happened, and young adulting happened. I should put it. I look at it that way, where you're still doing not good calls, and he was just like finally got to a place of like, I miss him, despite I miss him now that it no longer bothers me. That's how I kind of hope. Or did he finally come to a place of missing him only when he finally saw his brother? He finally came to wondering if his brother finally had a change of heart. Did he ever wonder, will my brother ever come to apologize to me? Or if he ever comes this way and he still has this, you know, attitude about him, then I'll show him that I'm just as strong and even stronger now. Some kind of like whatever he could think to hype himself up, you know. And then seeing the gifts that were coming to him, did that start to melt him and say, time did do good for both of us, like he's missed me and now he doesn't. He's wanting us to get close again. So did that melt his heart that at that point, or did it melt his heart because over the years he had time to really like reflect just for the good days, to try to think on those more than what had happened? It just makes me wonder this situation. And you do kind of, I do kind of get emotional just because it's like when you know that you've done crazy things yourself to others and you think, man, if you only knew the regret I've ever done to you, and now you can see me now, the new me, would you accept me now? Half of the time people want to be accepted only due to what they think is right in their own eyes, not knowing that they still are doing errors in what that acceptance and that, do not judge me kind of attitude. You're not God. You don't have a right to judge me. And they want that acceptance by the world because they think that that's love. That's what they think. Not knowing that people are not judging on air. They might not be doing it cruel either. They're probably just trying to give you warning, like, you don't know what you're doing is wrong in the sight of God because they know what they know now. But that's cruel to them, you know? That's cruel to them. And that's a different type of situation there. But with those that, you know, you've had relationship, you know, and things came by your hand to them, and now they have a different look on you, like they never want to give you the time of day. They don't want to give an open window that maybe there is a chance that you have changed, or now, or is it to them that, oh, now they just claim religion, now they just want to seem like they have, uh you know but in my eyes they'll never change, they'll never be different, they'll always be this one person that they uh, you know did me wrong by, and they hold to that. Some do, but then just you look at this situation, you wonder, could they ever get to that point to see how sorry you could be, that sorry that you wish to show them, throw out, give them things and bless them to show them, like, hey, I have so much to offer and good now. I didn't have what I know now, that type. Would they even be willing? And that's what we stay on hopes with. That's why I love the word, because we see these situations and it just keeps you with that hope that they'll come to see that part of you. But anyways, Let's carry on for 4 minutes more. Okay, sorry. Um, verse 4 again. And Esau ran forward to meet him, and embracing him, he kissed him and fell upon his neck. And they both wept. And looking up, he saw the women and the children, and he said, What are these to you? He said, The children by whom Jehovah showed your servant mercy. And the maids and their children approached and bowed, and Leah and her children approached and bowed. And after these, Rachel and Joseph approached and bowed. And he said, What are these to you, all these companies which I have met? He said, That your servant may find favor in your eyes, Lord. Esau said, I own many things, brother. Let them be to you as your things. So remember, it's weird because didn't we read a couple of verses or chapter back that Abraham, what was it? No, Isaac. Isaac, when he blessed them, he said that he was gonna be a servant unto Jacob. Isn't that what we got to see? Let me go back. We'll just probably have to pick up back into this chapter, and now we can see where Jacob is so remorseful and so, you know, and it looks like he's like, here, take all of what belongs to me. It even seems like including himself, that he would be a servant unto his brother. That's how it's looking to me. And now we can see Esau's telling him, like, look, I'm beyond that. I have my own stuff, you know. You keep what belongs to you, you know. That's how it's looking to me. Okay, well, there's only a minute left, and I have a feeling it's going to stop. But if you go back to chapter 27, when we read about this, I'll do the same, and then I'll pick up back where we are right now in chapter 33 and talk more on it, because that's what it's looking like to me. Yeah, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to read that later and then talk more on it when we come back. So that takes care of that chapter. Sorry for getting a little emotional there, but the Father's Word is just so much that it does to cleanse and to heal. That's time. It cleanses, it heals. His Word, it's Him. He cleanses, He heals us, He restores us, He blesses us. And that's why it's really crazy in knowing how many people reject Him. why. And it's not to say that at one point I didn't reject him myself, in a sense that what I didn't have of him by knowing him fully, that's a different type of rejection, still a rejection nonetheless. But some willfully, you know, I didn't have him in rejection because I didn't know any better. I thought I had him. I was serving him the best way I thought I was doing from what I knew. But even there, it wasn't, I didn't have him. And some just willfully don't want him. And that's really sad. But, anyways, I hope this was a blessing to you as it was for me. And I cannot wait until we get back to each other come next Monday. You'll have a blessed week and a beautiful celebration on a Saturday with Father when we get to hear and see more of Him and to, gather with one another, as we should. Abba Yahweh, I come before you, giving you praise and thanks for your words today, gleaning so much from what we read, Father, so we can see what it is that, is pleasing in your sight and what we have by example to that. We got to see how, Jacob, like us, goes through those type of worst case scenarios when it is about to, come to doing what needs to be done. You're the one that told him to get back, to his home, and he knew what was gonna be there. He knew his brother was there, but he was listening to you. You told him it's time to head back home. But he knew what he needed to do. He knew how to touch you, how to reach you by taking your words, in. He's heard you. He meditates on them. He brings them back to you. He lets you know of this relationship that you and him both have come to do with each other. Letting you know that he puts his trust in you and asking of you to go before him in the situation. And then doing the next thing that he knows that you would probably want him to do. And that was in trying to bless his brother in the process. Try to make it work. And that's what you want us to be like, Father, dying to self. Maybe the lesson that he finally learned from what he had done, doing it in the wrong way of getting what he got. He now knew that he had to do it this way. So may we see what it is, Father, that if we can try to make things, good with someone, that we go first, that we go and try, that we put every effort, that we have come to understand what your word has shown us. And we only hope and pray that they're willing to see that. And thank you, Father. In Yeshua's name, amen. I will see you guys again soon. Love you all.